So, hello guys, welcome to another Cisco Networking Academy video. And for this video, we have the summary for Chapter 3, which is the Network Protocols and Communications. So, let's go straight to the PowerPoint. So, we have for Chapter 3, the rules of communication, network protocols and standards, moving data in the network, and the summary. So, first is the rules of communication. Establishing the rules, unidentified sender and receiver, agreed upon method of communicating face-to-face, telephone, letter, photograph, common language and grammar, speed and timing of delivery, confirmation or acknowledgement requirements. So this is the rules for we have the rules for communicating between the sender and the receiver. So you have the identified sender and receiver, so which is the ones sending and receiving the messages. So agreed upon method of communicating. So the communication depends if they plan to do it face to face or in telephone or with letter or some photograph. So common language and grammar. So they should have some common language and grammar which they can understand well, so that they can understand well each other. Speed and timing of delivery. So one must not be too fast in sending and one must not be too slow in sending. So in communicating um, we need to be aware of the timing of how we send some message. So affirmation or acknowledgement requirements. So we need to be sending the once we send some messages, we need to give a sign that we we are done sending our message, so that they can understand when they will be going to reply. So message encoding. So you have here the message source to the encoder, to the transmitter, transmission medium the channel, receiver decoder, and the message destination. So this is from the source to destination, which means that the messages will be sent to the end of the communication. Message formatting and encapsulation. So example is the personal letter. So identifier of the recipient's location, identifier of the sender's location, salutation or greeting, recipient identifier, the message content, source identifier, end of the message indicator. So we have here the picture of a letter with the sender and the recipient, or the sender address and the recipient address, or the recipient location, sender's location. And of course, this 4, which is the salutation, the recipient, the message content, source identifier, and end of message will be inside of the main letter. The message timing, we have the access method, the flow controller, response timeout. So we have here the network protocols and standards. So network protocols, how the message is formatted or structured, the process by which networking devices share information about pathways with other networks, how and when error and system errors are passed between devices, the setup and termination of data transfer sessions. So for the network protocol, it is how the message of the sender or the receiver, and how they plan to make the message understandable, structured, and well structured. So the process by which networking devices share information about the pathways with other network. So the network protocols is mainly the process that the networking device can rely on when choosing the pathways to networks, how and when error and system messages are passed between devices. So network protocols are used and has the function of knowing how and when some errors and some messages can be displayed or sent to either the receiver and the sender to be passed on between devices. The setup termination of data transfer session. So network protocols is used for the setup and also the termination if you will abort some transfer sessions. Interaction protocols, we have the application protocol, which is the hypertext transfer protocol, transmission control protocol, internet protocol, the internet protocol, network access protocol, data link and physical layers. So we have here open standards, or which is the standards organizations. We have the Internet Society, the ISOC, the Internet Architecture Board, the IAB, the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer, IEEE, the International Organization for Standards, or the ISO. So these are some organizations which manage the standards of networking, of some networking aspects. So we have here the IEEE, it has 38 societies, 130 journals, 1,300 conferences each year, 1,300 standards and projects, 400 members, 160 countries, IEEE 802.3, IEEE 802.11. So as you can see, the IEEE is a big organization. So this is some of the credentials that they have, and shown here some work groups, study groups. So they develop some networking services. So you have here the ISO. So for the OSI model, this is shown from physical to the application layer. The OSI model, which is the physical data link network transport, session, presentation, and application. So this is the reference model that the passage of or transmission of data must be followed. This must be followed to be properly implemented. TCP or IP reference model. So application represent data to the user plus encoding dialog control. So in application, it represents data. So it means that it has a user interface, or which is the end device, or some phones that we end users use. For transport, supports communication between diverse devices across diverse networks. So transport is used for communication from devices to other wide or big networks existed. So internet determines the best path through the network. So yeah, it chooses the best path to have a faster transmission. So network access controls the hardware devices and media that make up the network. So it involves the hardware devices, which is like the switches and the routers, intermediate devices, and end devices. So moving data in the network, communicating the messages, segmenting message benefits, different conversations can be interleaved, increase the reliability of network communications, segmenting message disadvantage, increase level of complexity. So segmenting message benefits. So of course, having a different conversations, we can be simultaneously replying to some of the conversations that we have. And segmenting has increased reliability of network communications. Segmenting message disadvantage, and it will be the increasing the level of complexity that is needed to avoid some of the disadvantages in segmenting the messages. Accessing local resources, the MAC and IP addresses. So here is just shown an image. So the image here, we have the two end users, one server and one router and one switch. So this MAC and IP addresses are used for the transmission and using some of the ARP requests here, sending it to the from source to destination. So this is the summary. Data network system and end devices, intermediary devices, and the media connecting the devices. For communication to occur, these devices must know how to communicate. So in the first bullet, it is said that data networks, they are mainly our end devices, also the network devices that we are using, and to be able for communication to occur, the devices must know how to communicate with each other and how they will transfer messages to one another. So these devices must comply with communication rules and protocols. TCP and IP is an example of protocols. So of course, as the OSI model or some of the protocols can are used, so there must be protocols to be followed to be to make the service useful. So most protocols are created by standards organizations such as IETF or IEEE. So as I said, the IEEE or some of the organizations in the networking industry is in charge of creating some of the protocols and updating the protocols for newer devices. The most widely used network models are GOS and TCP/IP models, so they are the layered models. So data that passes down the stack of the device is segmented into pieces and encapsulated in the addresses and other labels. So as the data has been passed down to the OSI model, which is the physical up to the application, it will be encapsulated with IP addresses and also other labels. So it will be reversed as it will be encapsulated and passed up to the destination. So continuation. The IC model describes the process of encoding, formatting, segmenting, encapsulating data for transmission over the network. So the TCP or IP protocol suite is an open standard protocol that has been endorsed by the networking industry and ratified and approved by the standards organization. So this protocol suite TCP or IP has been approved by the standards organizations. So the Internet Protocol suite is a suite of protocols required for transmitting and receiving information through using the internet. So of course the IP or the internet protocol is used for surfing the web and connected to the internet. Protocol data units are named according to protocols of the TCP IP suite, data segment packet framing bits. Flying models allow individuals, companies, and trade associations to analyze current networks and plan the networks of the future. And that's it for my chapter 3, summary for chapter 3. And I hope you learned from this also. And thank you for watching and goodbye.